Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Let's Roleplay. I'm your host, Duhad. It's been a little while, but we're back. We are back, in fact, with Rag-a-Muffins. Yes, I know. We took a long break from Rag-a-Muffins, promising that there'd be another game starting up before we played Rag-a-Muffins again. Turns out that's actually happening next week. So more Rag-a-Muffins. Hope you're not completely sick of it yet.
Oof. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It's not really your fault.
It's all everyone else's fault. There you go.
That's not how this works. We're not having this conversation right now.
It's your fault, Kit and Winter and Graham.
The point
and
is,
Nero.
The point is, we are going to be continuing where we left off with the group having been captured by Atlas and awaiting, their summary. Well, not really execution, more like addition to violent blood sports that will likely result in their demise, and hopefully in spectacular Mad Maxian style with big old car chases. Because I added a whole bunch of fucking vehicle rules. You ungrateful bastards!
Hey, I made full use of that. I even wrote it into my character.
I was more just making a general joke, but the point is, we're going to pick up where we left off. We're actually also going to push things forward a tiny bit in time, as you guys are, currently in lockup, and we're going to kind of pick up in medias res a little bit later, about 48 hours later, because things are. There's a few things that are going to happen before you guys are, tossing the thing. And despite every instinct as a GM telling me not to do this, I'm going to split the fuck out of this party.
Every instinct as a player tells me that not to do this. But okay.
But yeah.
No. Player instincts are to do it.
Yes.
Since when?
Even when it's a terrible idea.
It's always.
Even when it's a terrible idea.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically,
Hey, gang, let's split up.
So here's how we're going to do this. Right now, as we left our heroes, Belial and Soft Serve were we're like stuck in lockup along with your gear and your car and everything else. She has been working on he, because it's Kaufman, has been working on trying to build a body for Soft Serve.
More like reprogram it, or put it into if there's
like jury rig a rig for Soft Serve to ride around in as a robot. But yeah, then the other heroes were mostly in lockup, but because of her connection to a certain prisoner here in Atlas, longtime resident, as it were, Red has been given a special leave to be brought to have a visitation with her wife. Meanwhile, Winter's character, Lucretia, right, has been taken out for special interrogation due to her specific race. I did have a thing planned for everyone write your goddamn character names in the thing. I just can't remember people's fucking names.
It's been a long time, to be fair.
For the Frog's character and Zombie. Unfortunately, because Zombie is not going to be able to join us for a bit because his microphone is broken, I'm going to have to think of something else for them to do. For Raphael to do.
Second. What do you mean, Raphael? You mean Linda? Linda is...
No, Raph is DeFrog's character.
Oh, I thought you were referring to Zombie's character.
Linda not being there means...
Yeah, I'm just going to sit here and do nothing, be ignored for Zombie's character.
Yeah, twiddle your thumbs.
I have to figure out something to do for Zombie, but, Raph
can Zombie out here, and then you'll...
Okay, so we're actually going to pick up with Lucretia, who has been You were taken out of your cell about an hour ago now. You had a bag shoved over your head. You were, basically dragged somewhere. You were violently, stripped down to your undies, basically, and strung up on a big metal, hook. And since then, you've been left to just sort of dangle. They've handcuffed your hands and your feet together so that you can't really struggle. But they've basically just left you completely on your own. You have no idea if you are alone where you are because you are basically blind and deaf. But all you know is that you don't hear you can't really hear anyone with your limited hearing, and you can't feel anyone nearby.
All right, well, then I'm going to do the smart thing and have Sagittarius come out of my back and take a look around, tell me what's up.
All right, how does Sagittarius actually look? What type of parasite is he? Because you've mentioned him before, but is he what does your parasite actually look like?
The main form of it is kind of vague, as most of the time Sagittarius is transmorphing into things of need, mainly consisting of black cubes, about 100 of them.
Okay, so he looks more like a liquid thing than an actual
so he's microbots instead of
I was directly inspired by
instead of nanobots.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just scrolling down to the Atlas Security Troopers that I also recently added. A bunch of new features in the game now. No reason why.
Hey guys, check it out.
No specific reason why I'm going and looking at all this Atlas stuff now. It's not like they're going to shoot you or anything.
On our Patreon.
Yeah, go to the Patreon. Check out.
Link in the description. Wait. Yeah, link in the description.
Yeah, link in the description. But yeah, so yeah, he looks out and he looks around and he basically crawls up to your ear and whispers that we're in a room. We're in a small cell. We seem to be tied up onto something. There's a couple of guards around, but they don't seem to be really paying attention to us specifically. They're just sort of watching this whole area. There's a few other prisoners in the area. They're all, bound and gagged as well. They don't, none of them are able to talk. Most of them are scouts and a couple of Chirons and a Luru.
Go tell the others about the... Well, can it hear me? Probably.
Can who hear you?
Sagittarius
can hear you, but you have to speak out loud. You can't psychically talk to him.
Yeah. So in a hushed whisper,
keep in mind you have a bag over your head.
Yeah, so
you're gonna have to
everything
speak up
is
a little
muffled.
bit. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, could you tell the others about what is going on, and see if we could
Which others?
collect the other prisoners, and see if we could collect a coalition of supporters of getting out of this situation.
He looks around and then says, they're all chained to walls and hung up by their hands. I don't think you're going to get a coalition going on with these people.
Let's start a slave rebellion.
That was pretty much my idea.
Jangle, 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 jangle.
Jangle, jangle, jangle.
Yeah. And
yeah,
my cybernetic hands probably can't get at that chain or
you
anything.
don't have your cybernetic hands on you right now.
Okay.
They took those off and put them in with the rest of your your gear. You're basically held up by stubs.
All right.
Oof.
Clarification is always good. Let me see if there's anything.
Anything you would potentially basically anyone with natural weapons has had things put over their hands or teeth. Cast on their teeth. You are been all thoroughly neutered of any ability to fight back effectively.
And there's not really much I
Been
can
destroyed.
do.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to get extra attention, get shot, so just gonna kind of hang around.
So as you hang there, Sagittarius starts to slither back into your back and says, "Someone's coming."
All right, just like plops the head down to reduce suspicion of awareness. Yeah.
Okay. So as you do so, you hear footsteps. You hear several footsteps, and then you hear the voice of Jasper, the guy who captured you in the first place. And he says, "All right, you still awake under there?" And you feel like a hand reach up over your head and yank the bag off.
There is just a low growl that comes out.
Very feral.
Yes.
No, he says that. Like, he actually says,
okay.
Very feral. And then, steps back. You see there are two Atlas guards armed with flamethrowers on either side of him, and they are both, actively burning. The weapons are actively lit. Now, don't be difficult, Lucretio. My men here get a little bit nervous when people get difficult.
Alright, I'll be calm. What do you want?
I don't want anything particularly special, Lucretia. I'd like to actually just have a word with you.
Alright, then let's talk.
Alright. I'm going to just actually quickly save this image. I'm going to quickly post this image that Balil has provided up on screen for our loyal listeners, because if you happen to be watching this on the YouTubes and do like to see the visual aids when they are provided,
There's one.
There's going to be one as soon as I am done stalling for time while I put it on, because I'm doing this in real time and the process is actually kind of annoying. There it is. Boop. These motherfuckers, they're armed in purple armor with big bronze gas tanks and golden accents, including kind of creepy hoods and horns and things. Atlas, as much as they worship the human body, the people who actually enforce the law for them are deliberately made up to look monstrous and inhuman. Partly because they're there to scare the actual local citizens as much as outsiders.
Okay.
So Jester says, "So, Lucretia, Lucretia, where were you born?"
I was born on a desert planet. I don't even know if you have a name for it yet.
I'm sure someone's come up with a name for it. I'm sure your people have a name for it. You scabs are
like Dirt Hole or Crustville or Dead.
Yes, we have our own name for it.
Sandbox filled with shit.
You probably wouldn't know
Gmod.
it.
He says, "Oh, please, I adore the cultures of the frontier peoples. I have great respect for the, those names that you give your own worlds." He actually flips through a number of flips through a little a little booklet he has, and starts actually kind of looking at you really uncomfortably, he's kind of not you've basically been stripped down, but it's not like a sexual thing. It's like a specimen thing. He's looking over you're a piece of meat, and he just sort of shifts your jaw from side to side, and squeezes a little bit of your arm and stuff, and goes, "I would say that given your particular appearance, that you might come from the planet Northgrad. Am I right?"
Yeah. We call it Sanacarius, but that is what you call it.
Very cute. Well, excellent. I always like to test my own acumen. So, tell me, Lucretia, what brought you all the way out here into our little section of the former Federation?
Well, getting off Sanacarius was quite the adventure of itself. Having a lot of people a lot of our people die in the process, as happens in our kind of ships. But we got off.
And then you came here alone. Your crew is made up of scavs.
No, I originally landed. I forget the name of the planet exactly, but I was recruited by a Shamaran.
Oh, would that be our Mr.
Kaioken, yeah.
No, Kevador?
That's his last name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, that would be correct.
And do you find it interesting that you happen to find yourself just happening to be traveling with a ship crewed by not one but two former Federation citizens?
I've always found that interesting, but I thought nothing of it.
Red is from near Federation space.
Oh yeah.
And she married a Federation. She married somebody within the Federation.
Yeah, which legally means that she is a citizen of the Federation, because they do have like a bi-marriage deal. But yeah,
it's a weird law.
It's like they encourage people to come back into Federation space. They don't want to like keep people away.
Yeah.
Especially if those people happen to be human Shamaran or Jundai.
Yeah. I never thought too much of it myself.
Well, you should. You should. It's very interesting. He actually kind of like waves his hand around. You actually, for the first time, you can really kind of see the people who Sagittarius was telling you about, and there's just a lot of Chirons and Shamarans and Scavs hung up all over the place. And you kind of get the impression, you can't really tell, but a lot of them are moving a lot less than you would imagine even from someone sleeping. And this place smells bad. So
she just like visually twitches from the oncoming realization.
Yeah, it's funny how often you people tend to end up, on ships crewed by Federation citizens or by, ships being crewed by people with some sort of power or influence or from important or interesting sections of the galaxy, political sections, areas of high traffic, high income.
Well, we're naturally looking for wealth, and those people have the most wealth.
I'm sure you are. But don't you think it's a little strange that you people are all coming from your own parts of space over here, and always just taking up such interesting jobs? Why, for instance, did you, Lucretia, decide to leave your home, your family, your clan, to fly with a bunch of wanted criminals?
Well, at first I thought I was going to be able to take my family, but the spaceship looked way too dangerous to bring the rest of them. So I left them at home.
Too dangerous?
Yes. You don't realize how rugged our ships can be.
Trust me, I have quite the collection. I know all about the designs you people use. I find this really quite interesting. What do you know about Raphael Kevador and Red Harkin?
Well, I know Raphael is my boss. He picked me up when the ship that I was in was abandoned by everyone else. Not enough escape pods, so I just kind of sat there on the ship. I learned how to operate a ship pretty well.
And his backstory, his history, why he's no longer with the Federation?
He never was one for too many words of his past. He always seemed to be about the present.
He never told you why he left?
I don't believe so.
He kind of looks at you, and you get this feeling like he's like trying to figure out whether or not to believe you, and he eventually just kind of goes like, "Okay, all right." And Red, you know her wife is here with us in Atlas.
No, I didn't actually.
She never talked about her marriage.
Not to me, at least. Though we had quite a number of disagreements, so we never had heart-to-hearts.
You don't get along with your crew members.
I get along with most of them, all right.
But not the humans.
So, I guess
We only had one disagreement. It was because you cut somebody's head in two.
this is her interpretation. Well, what was the question again? I just completely.
That you didn't have a good relationship with one of the humans on the ship.
Well, she didn't really like how effective I was at doing what I needed to. I always handled things with the quickest of care.
I see. How interesting. And the other human, the cat.
Yes, what about that one?
I'm curious. Why is she... Do you know why she's decided to abandon her humanity in the way that she has?
To be honest, I think a bit of poking around the brain would find that out. Maybe some
Interesting.
psychiatry.
You're suggesting some sort of autopsy.
Autopsy, but she isn't dead yet, is she?
No, she's still alive. Though I think it's interesting that you would jump so quickly to, digging around in the brain of a human crew member of yours.
To be fair, the creature already did that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious is all. But I think it has to be something to do with the mind, so that's just kind of the obvious conclusion.
Interesting. Well, I have to thank you for a fascinating conversation. I do have to deal with another bit of unpleasantness. We'll cut you down before too long. You are going to be joining your friends in the games later, and so we can't have you staying all day just hanging about.
Oh, the puns!
Yeah, one of the
loud.
guards steps forward and pulls the bag back over your head. So then we're going to cut over to Belial.
To Kaufman, eh?
Yeah, to Kaufman. Kaufman,
Oh,
you are in a dark room. That's fine because you have night vision. You are
albeit black and white. So.
Yeah, albeit black and white. It's honestly actually kind of similar. It basically looks like a day for everything looks like a day for night shot in an old black and white movie right now.
True.
But yeah, you're on your own, except with obviously all this random gear. But you are next to SoftServe, and there's a number of deactivated robots. They deactivated you, but thanks to your AI core nature, you were able to turn yourself back on again. And a self-willed robot probably would have been able to do the same thing given a little bit of time. So it's a pretty easy deal for you to turn yourself back on again and get free reign of the place. And as you mentioned before, you've been trying to work on a way of reactivating SoftServe and getting her a body.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And do you have a preference on the machine chassis?
Chiron female.
Chiron female. Okay, there's a big hulking Chiron female body, robot design, over in the corner. This thing looks like it might have at one point been a warbot, but it's been so badly slagged that its use as that is probably limited. However, as a good thing for you, is the areas that got slagged are parts that you don't really need and that you'd have to have replaced anyway for the sake of soft serve. Leading to a really convenient bit of scrap that you can turn into a makeshift body.
How convenient.
How very convenient.
All right. You guys work on that shit.
Yeah, as you are working on it, you do notice there's something a little bit weird about this thing. Like, it's the color patterns on this aren't anything you've ever seen before, but they look very deliberate. Like this war machine body.
Yeah.
Like, it looks almost military, but like the Federation would never have made a Chiron style warbot, and none of the major factions out in the Rim have.
Can I roll knowledge to to see if through Atlas, to see what would it be?
You roll. Tell you what you rolled.
19.
19. Not sure. You're not sure what this thing is, but it's weird. It's definitely strange. But no mind. The important thing is that you got what you need to build this body.
Mm-hmm.
Do you turn on soft serve as you get to building her new body, or are you going to like turn her on once she's already been installed?
Once she's been installed, of course. I mean, it's extremely unsafe for a computer if you're working on it while it's on.
Oh, of course. Okay, yeah. So you you already actually rolled for me off screen and sent me it on Skype, and you rolled well enough. So it takes you a little while, but you eventually manage to solder together and build up using a lot of the tools that were left in the car. This new chassis for soft serve. And by the time you turn her on, the machine, like the robot's arms and legs, twitch, and then like kind of lift up, and she holds her hands before her new sensors, and says, "Kaufman?
Hello,
Kaufman. What have you done? I have hands and arms."
Yes. I've moved you to a more suitable body for the task that we will need to perform.
A task we need to perform? This is not a task related to the dispensing of ice cream, is it?
No.
I see.
Although I did install a ice cream maker on your new body.
Excellent. I would have hated having to give up that part of my life. I appreciate this, Kaufman. But what is it you need me to do?
Currently, he sits for a moment, weighing the odds of what breaking out would be.
Yeah, as you're doing this, she's like actually just kind of like doing weird pseudo dances. She kind of like feels like tests out all of her new limbs.
We should hide for the moment.
Hide? Why should we do that, Kaufman?
According to my calculations, and due to the superiority of all Atlas troops, it would be extremely disadvantageous for us to attempt a breakout.
That seems very reasonable, Kaufman. But where could we possibly hide? This is not the ship.
Points to the car.
The car? I remember Red saying that ice cream was not allowed in her vehicle.
I'm sure it's fine.
I will follow your lead on this, Kaufman, as I believe in the current situation, your directions are more valid than those of Red in times of less crisis.
Yes. All right.
She walks over and like opens up the trunk of the car and goes,
Are you guys gonna hide around the where she pulled out the spare tire for extra weight, so or for extra lightness, so that she can get better speed? You guys could hide in that compartment.
Fair enough. Yeah.
They sit in there, and it's in a and because of how cramped it is, it's like they're in an awkward spooning. If the little spoon were like half as were like a third the height of the big spoon.
Yeah, it's like she sits down first, and then basically just like envelops Kaufman in like her new body, because like she's so much bigger than Kaufman now that she just sort of like is able to sort of like blanket him.
I've heard of this position before. It would be most beneficial for spatial reasons if you were to wrap your arms around me.
This makes logical sense. I will, Kaufman. She holds Kaufman nice and tight.
Now to wait.
Indeed. Yeah, she doesn't really like say anything else, because like as a robot, it's like, okay, cool, waiting, that's fine. Like there's literally no reason to like you don't get bored as a robot.
Yeah,
so
they're always like, doing something.
Casually, like relax. And we're going to jump over to. I want to save Red for Red would be the next logical thing, but I want to save Red for last because I think it's going to be the most dramatic. So we're going to actually say that like about an hour after all that happened, Raph, because Linda is busy taking an extended cat nap. You don't have the chance to explain to her what's been going on, and instead you are, contacted by one of the Atlas guards who says, "The administrator would like to see you."
Well, I don't exactly have anything else to do.
You do not.
He holds out his hands to be bound.
Yeah, he like the guard like locks them and then kind of like leads you out, followed by another one. But as you're walking through the thing, like no one puts a bag over your head in the same way that they did with Lucretia. And as you're walked, you actually are like brought to a not terribly uncomfortable room that has a table divided down the middle by a glass wall, and on the other side of the wall is Jasper, and
is he Hannibal Lecter?
Not quite. Like it is kind of a prison room. But between the two of you, bisected by the wall, is a table, and a light lunch has been prepared, and even actually the food has been on your side has been specially catered to your particular palate as a Shamaran.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah, and he says, Captain, Captain, it's a pleasure to have you at my table.
I'm sure.
Yeah, gesture for you.
He holds up his hands. Am I?
Of course.
Like this?
Signal, the guards hesitate, but then they step forward and unlock you, and they step back and prepare their guns. But then he actually just makes another signal, and the guards very cautiously and reluctantly step out of the room. The glass should be more than enough to keep us both perfectly safe from one another, don't you think? Yes, Mara.
Without weapons, explosives, what I could do to you, I'm certain that you could do something to me in this room, however.
You would be right in assuming so, but I have no intention of ruining a perfectly good meal with such violent and uncivilized actions. You're a very interesting man, and I've been meaning to have a word with you. I'm something of an admirer of the Federation, as many of us here in Atlas are, though most see the many of us take a more pro-human stance than the Federation does. I have never really particularly seen that as being a productive attitude. The Shamarans and the Jundai have always provided an important service to the Federation, and part of the greatness of that great experiment has come from the efforts of your people.
Raises an eyebrow.
I know. From someone from Atlas, I'm sure you must be thinking that I'm jesting, or that I'm...
No, I've worked with Atlas troops before.
Well, then you know how serious we can be about these things. We are great admirers of the Federation. We want to make the Federation as it once was here in the Rim, assuming the Federation itself cannot come back and restore order and balance to this chaotic section of space. Unfortunately, that seems unlikely, and so we create our own little slice of paradise under the careful administration of the Bowles family, of course. But you...
Being an Atlas citizen, I have to question your definition of paradise.
We live in safety and peace. We have a very low crime rate. People are happy. People are able to enjoy...
Safety.
You may disagree with the definition, but most citizens of Atlas are safe. A few sacrifices have to be made for the public good, but ultimately, what are a few lives lost, a few liberties removed for the sake of a perfect life for most of our citizens?
Raphael sits back. I would argue that was a large part of the reason why I sided was to fight against thought like that.
Well, I suppose we'll have to agree to disagree. But that does make me wonder. You left the Federation. You left your post. You abandoned, what many of us consider to be just about the best chance at a advanced, technical, and peaceful life for one of violence and grime and conflict out here in the Rim. And the company you've chosen.
Nonsense. Nonsense. Look, here's how it is. You put on the uniform, you take the fight. And at the end of the day, no matter how you started, you do it for the person next to you. Whether he's got hair like you, feathers like, or slimy ass skin because he knew the right thing to do. You do it for the guy next to you. And eventually they leave you. It all goes wrong. You end up out, and you've only got one person left to save.
And so you decided to save yourself?
Not you. That never matters. But no. I've always been willing to throw myself in the way. But I got one comrade left to save. One. And I'm damn not letting her go down.
Your AI.
Yeah, we thought that you had broken that.
We noticed, though I made the decision to allow you to keep her, as well as a decision to allow you to keep that odd little robot you have tucked away in the back. Chiron mech isn't exactly much of a threat to anyone.
Oh boy.
But I am curious, you went ahead and stole from your former employers and then decided to side with, with a thief, possibly unstable driver, a member of a noted race of slavers and raiders, and, well, an entire mercenary band of fairly degenerate people, rimmers. Not to mention your willingness to work for people like Norseco, which, whatever you think of the Atlas corporate states, you have to admit that we're at least better than those people.
Questionable. And you never met my old squad.
Fair. Your loyalty to
He
them.
appears to take a. He appears to start to take a word, and then his face blank.
Can you say that again? Your connection's a little bit loose.
Yeah, sorry. He appears to be about to say something else, and then his face goes absolutely blank.
Yeah. Jasper looks kind of...
Tango, Golf, Zosha, Zeta, 19 Tango.
Jasper actually opens a small notebook, a small notebook that if she was here, Lucretia would notice, and flips towards around the middle of it and starts jotting down notes. Very interesting.
2 more seconds pass by, and then Raphael leans back, and for the first time, he actually picks up some and pops into his mouth.
Yeah, Jester kind of watches you very, intently, and says, "I must say, you are truly fascinating. I would love to pick your brain, more than I've had the opportunity to. However, I'm afraid that the law is the law."
It's really interesting to eat in a Shamoran's body.
Oh.
Tastes nothing the same. Hello, Jasper. It's good to finally talk.
He pauses, and again, he looks actually kind of confused and taken aback, and closes his book and says, "I'm sorry, is this Raphael?"
No, of course not. Call me Oscar.
What the fuck?
His jaw slackens slightly, and then he folds his hands carefully and says, "Oscar, a pleasure to meet you."
Does your last name happen to be Meyer? Oscar Meyer.
Don't be a wiener about this, Blue. Anyway, he says,
"I'm glad that you found Raphael as interesting as you did, Jasper. He was made to be interesting for you."
Yeah, he pauses and slowly stands up to get a better look at you and says, "I'm familiar with many forms of espionage and counter-espionage. However, this, I must confess..."
This is a new one.
"Is new, yes." "Please, why don't
Well,
we..."
it's good to hear that you think that it's new.
Then please, if you would be so kind as to properly reintroduce yourself. I feel like we have much to catch up on.
Oh, absolutely. The Federation is very eager to speak with you.
His eyes flash, there's this, and you see for a moment, his this mask over his face drops, and you see a very different look, one you've never seen on his face before, one that none of you have seen on his face before, of just glee and this kind of hunger, this hunger that doesn't really register to most people as as a relatable emotion, but and then suddenly it's gone again, and the mask is the mask of pleasant surprise and politeness comes back, and he says, "You're with the Federation, then?"
Oh yeah.
"And what does the Federation want with Atlas?"
Well, you see, Raphael type, or at least his type, are a true Federation operation. We eye on things out here. We try and adjust things for the safety of the borders.
I see. Well,
Safety of people who live on the borders and outside our borders. And unfortunately, the Federation has noted, as I'm sure you're aware, that as you go further out into the Rim, there are threats.
yes.
Many of them are coming this way.
He like, yeah, like his hands actually start to shake as he opens his book and leaps back in the direction that he had been that he'd been like referencing when talking with Lucretia, and like starts to like take several deep like calming breaths before saying, "The Federation is aware then of what's been going on."
Of course. Of course we're aware. Just because the Federation did not have the strength through purely naval action alone to pacify their... mean that the Federation has given up on this portion of space.
I believe
Important for civilization to be maintained.
he again takes another deep breath and says, "I believe that the two of us are working at very similar purposes, and I believe there's someone that I'm going to need to introduce you to."
I would appreciate that very much.
If I had my guards recuff you, just for appearance sake, would you be able to have Raphael retake control briefly until we could go somewhere a little bit more private?
Oh, absolutely. He'll... of what happened here.
Excellent. And is there a way to bring you back out again?
Oh, I'll be watching.
Very good. He he carefully closes the book again, pushes the chair back, and calls, "Guards, we're done for now, though I would like to take a little walk with our prisoner here. Prepare my personal shuttle." And we're going to take we're going to actually like move from...
And at that, Raphael goes, "And where precisely are you taking me?"
To meet a very dear friend of mine. But before we go and meet his very dear friend, we're going to jump over to the meeting between Red and
What the fuck?
yes, and her wife. So yeah, Red, can you like what's your wife's name?
Primrose.
It's also red.
Primrose. Oh, Primrose. So yeah, your car, and this is actually taking place about an hour earlier now. We're kind of jumping around the timeline a tiny bit, but you arrived about an hour earlier at a residence, and this is a opulent looking fucking place. Like, this place is nice, and you kind of get the feeling that, given its proximity to the base and its niceness compared to everything else, that this is probably the home of Jester. This is probably the place run by, like that Jasper comes back to every night. And the guards, who are machines, like robotic guards, step out and help you out of the vehicle.
All right. Thought things through a little bit. Okay.
Yeah. And these machines, these Atlas robots, like, these ones are not, like, unlike the guards, these are kind of meant to inspire, like affection. They're meant to be, like, impressive looking. So they kind of look like big golden men, like big golden, like, muscular men. Like, they look like the cover of, they look like the statue of Atlas out in front of the NBC.
So they're
30
just
Rock.
big featureless gold men.
Yeah, they look like big gold men. They look like they literally look like the statue of Atlas outside of 30 Rock. 30 Rockefeller Plaza. And they like help you out of the thing. They are voiceless, but they kind of make it clear, like, this is the location, miss.
All right. I'm gonna
Are those
get out.
RAND units?
And I assume they have me at least,
Bots.
bound in some fashion.
Yes, your hands have been bound, but they're actually not like super tight. They're like they're not loose enough that you could slip out of them, but they're not cutting into your skin.
Right.
Yeah, like
how you should be doing.
Yeah, and actually, like the way that they've like dressed you, like they've kind of like put you in such a way that where it's not super obvious you've been like bound, so that someone on the street looking at you wouldn't necessarily think like, oh, there's a prisoner. They go like, oh, there's someone being held back to their house, maybe after a party.
Right.
Go home, you drunk.
Go home. And as you are walked up to the thing, the doorbell rings and a purely white machine steps up, and it's smaller than the other ones, but it still kind of has this like idealized human proportion. And as it opens the door for you, it says, "Ah, welcome. We have been waiting for you. We were told of your coming."
That's interesting.
Yes.
So was I.
Ah, that is a joke. Very funny. The master of the house told us that you would be arriving today in order to see Mrs. Herkin.
That's true.
Miss Herkin is in the lab currently.
All right. Well, why don't you lead the way?
Gladly. She looks at your hands and actually like reaches forward and unlocks them. We have been told you have been thoroughly disarmed, and as no other organics are currently within the premises aside from Miss Herkin, we have been instructed to allow you free use of your hands as you are considered non-threatening.
I'm glad they noticed.
Master, the master has made it very clear that you are to be treated as an honored guest in his house.
I'll thank him for me. Now, where is my wife?
She is in the lab. The lab is currently sealed. She is not allowed to wander the premises during this time, as she is busy with work.
I'm gonna make a medicine roll to judge the human proportions and see if there are any flaws.
Sure. Yeah.
It's flawless. Yeah. Because human proportions are impeccable.
Okay. You have to roll like a medicine roll or anything like this. This thing is very clearly still a robot. Like it's like it's got like plates and stuff to like give it a human appearance, but every time it moves, like you see cracks where like the joints don't perfectly match up, and there's machinery underneath.
No, I meant like the where it could shave off like a small flaw that I could tell it to correct, just for my own amusement.
Oh yeah, sure, go ahead. I mean, like again, you don't really have to roll for that. I mean, like they're like stylized perfect humans. They're not like actually like anatomically perfect humans. Like you can easily go like, hey, yeah, humans aren't quite that like angular, or their skin isn't quite that like smooth.
I'm talking about like extra like like a little bit too much plating on this side, or something they could change.
You can make fun of them for that easily. That's not. You have to roll for that.
Yeah. By the way, in your hip joint, the right side has worn down a little bit more than the left side. With a little bit of a buff, you should be able to correct that.
I apologize for the flaw. I hope it does not put you off.
Oh, not me at all. But I figure, before your master gets home and starts judging about who to send to the scrap pile, might be doing you a favor.
If the master desires me to go to the scrap pile, then that is where I belong. But I thank you for your concern.
Is there somewhere I can wait?
I did not know you wanted to be forced to wait for your wife. She will not be allowed to leave the lab for several more hours, as she is considered to be very busy at this time. The lab is usually very dangerous.
Reminding you about chores.
Well then, would I be going to the lab, or how would I be visiting? Okay.
We have been instructed to introduce you to your wife, and she has been very eager to see you again. She talks regularly of you.
It's good to know. Lead the way, then.
She leads the way through several long corridors and eventually to a large metal door that's like, it's dressed up to look all fancy and stuff, but like it's clearly a reinforced door. And she like pops in a bunch of numbers and the door clicks. Entertain for half a second.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. The siren.
Boy, that door
Yes, the
takes a
door.
long time to open.
Yeah, the door clicks and creaks and then slides open, and you find yourself in a sterile laboratory, like a sterile workspace. And there's like data readouts everywhere. It was like tests running constantly. You see odd pieces of technology, like on benches being analyzed. You see bits of fur and skin and scale, having tests run on them. You see geographical maps of various planets that you have never personally seen, or even seen on any star chart. Though, to be fair, you're not a navigator. And yeah, it's just like crazy amounts of work. And like there's machines, like very simple machines, not the fancy type that you see around the rest of the house, but just crude worker machines, like doing the grunt work of running these analysis machines.
All right.
The master is very protective of his laboratory. It is a great honor to be allowed inside of it. Your wife has been treated very kindly by being allowed to work here.
Oh, that's a small mercy. I'll step in. Thank you.
You're very welcome. She kind of like points out something like, just follow follow this pathway down to where your wife is currently stationed. The workers will escort you to her if you get lost.
All right. Thank you. I'll head in that direction.
Right. You walk down that way, and after a while, you find yourself, confronted with a large glass pair of doors. On the far side of them, with her back turned to you, you see. Describe your wife.
She's a extremely short and petite brunette who has like Coke bottle lens glasses, and her lab coat is always way too big for her, no matter which one she puts on. But she's usually wearing a lab coat as well. She's a scientist. Angular features, quite pretty, but usually also unkempt.
All right.
I don't know if that's still the case, but
she's actually pretty clean looking right now. Like she's like very, very neat and tidy looking right now, and wearing a nice looking coat, but like a lab coat, like a white lab coat that is cut very finely, but is still very much a work uniform. Like a little light flashes, and she turns and sees you, and as she does, she like gasps and runs forward to the door and types in something on the keypad, and it slides open. She runs forward and hugs you. Red!
Yeah.
I can't believe you're here!
Yeah, well, I didn't know I would be, of all the places to find you.
Oh, I'm so glad you did. How though? Why did you come to Atlas? If you didn't know I was here.
Thought you were dead, but I joined up with some people who, I could bloody their nose a bit. I saw the
Red.
Our colony was. No, I don't hurt anybody.
Did you join a criminal organization, Red?
No, well, I don't know. Law is kind of weird out here in the Rim.
Red!
Look, we just deliver packages.
You?
What?
Has anyone shot you? Have you been shot or stabbed? Or clawed?
Look, I mean, only by our scav, but that's...
What? You have a scav? And Emily's shot you?
Nobody shot me. Nobody shot me. They were just trying to do my job, and they're not as good at it as me. Look.
They were painting? How did they stab you while painting?
I'm a doctor, babe.
Oh, right, of course, that job. I thought that's why you were here.
Oh, no, I've been, you know, the car that you got me as an engagement present.
Yeah?
I'm
Please tell me the car's still fine.
And so is the paint job.
Oh, thank God.
Trust me. There's been a couple of times that it came close, but people are kind of afraid of me because, I drive a lumbering beast of a vehicle that could run them over with. But look, let's hold on. I need to sit down. Do you have a?
Oh, of course. Here, have a seat.
Yeah.
She gestures over to a stool and she says, "Would you like a glass of water? I have we have drinks here."
Oh yeah, that'd be lovely.
Excellent. She gets you a couple paper cups and gets both of you a paper cup and fills them both with clear water.
Yeah. So, how did you end up here?
Well, how do you think those filthy slavers who attacked us tried to pawn us off to Atlas, where they were summarily executed for attacking Federation citizens. The rest of us were taken here and rehabilitated in Atlas.
But the signs that I saw when I came back pointed at Atlas being the people who sacked the colony.
Atlas doesn't attack Federation citizens or humans.
We weren't on a Federation colony at the time.
They're still Federation citizens. Atlas also doesn't go outside of their own space. They tend to stick to themselves. They have mercenaries do that sort of work for them, and most of those mercenaries are working pro bono trying to get into Atlas. The idiots who attacked us thought that they were going to impress the corporate state, but ended up just getting themselves killed because they broke the law.
That explains their equipment, then. I'm going to take a sip. But, so you've been here of your own will?
Well, I mean, I can't leave, obviously. That would be against the law. But I've been kept, very busy and very happily so. I was hoping that you'd eventually come and join me.
I mean, that's debatable. Just curious, though. I'm going to point at the machinery. We could have gotten a better lab back in the Federation, if that's what we really wanted.
We could have, and to be fair, I probably would have if I'd known what I do now, but I didn't. And in all honesty, I don't think the Federation really understands exactly what the scale of the threat that all of us are currently facing is. Atlas has been working very hard to help keep all of us safe. I know they have a bad reputation, but they're not so bad once you get to know them.
I'll have to eventually take your word for it. You know that they captured me and intend to throw me in the games, right?
I'll have a word with Jasper about that. I'm sure he'll see reason. I mean, he sent you to me, and I can't imagine that was for any other reason than to have you help assist me in my work.
Oh, what have you got so far?
Oh,
yeah,
well,
I noticed you're testing some organic stuff.
Yes, actually. We're looking right now. Actually, I was looking at a piece of, a real piece of work. She walks over back to her station and unveils what she was working on. You see the body of an Uluru that has been dissected, and pieces have been removed, inorganic organs and cybernetic enhancements. I've been currently trying to figure out how they've been, creating such advanced cybernetics. These are pretty advanced. They rival anything coming out of Norsco or Atlas, and yet they are being made by a bunch of backwater primitives. It doesn't really make any sense. And if you look at some of the design work on these, there's similarities to Norsco's proprietary designs.
I'm gonna make a. I'll make a census. Is it census tech doable for this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Total of 20. hold on. I had to check my things. All right, 7 in senses, 5 in tech. So, total of 26.
Okay. It definitely kind of comes off the way that she's saying. It looks like a weird blend of Norseco and something else altogether. But it definitely looks way too advanced to be something that just came out of the Federation. Out of the Frontier, especially considering what you know of Scav Tech, which is, most of what you see coming out of there.
I mean, you're right, but I think maybe they're just copying the designs.
Could be, but I don't know. There's a lot of it. You should see the number of bodies we've had to go through, and the similarities in the tech it's strange. It's too uniformed.
Hold on. I'm also going to make I'm going to look at the body and see how it was installed, like how well the surgery was conducted.
Okay, yeah. Roll medicine plus senses.
Medicine is. Oh right, I'm actually really good at this. 28.
Nice. Okay, yeah. You it's really well done. Like, this is professional grade. Like, this is like a professional surgeon's work. And she said, "If you think that's interesting, you should check out this." And she walks over to the back of the room and presses, types in another code, and the doors to a freezer open up. She says, come here. I want you to see this.
All right. She'll follow.
Yeah.
I mean, this reminds Red of back when they were in college. This is,
So behind the doors is an abattoir of just filled with row upon row of bodies. Most of them are Luru and Chiron. There are a few scavs. There are, along the sides, there are like freezer vats filled with cybernetic limbs and organs and all sorts of things that have been like pulled out of these bodies that are inorganic in nature. And along the back wall, there is technology like weapons and guns and like communicators and stuff, all of which are incredibly uniformed. Like, all of them look like they came out of a factory, not like they came out of a dozen different workshops of a dozen different tribes.
Like the same cybernetics and everything.
Yeah, like really similar. This has been my work over the last couple of years, and as you can see, it's pretty astonishing.
Yeah. And these are... I mean, Atlas doesn't use this tech.
No.
Somebody's...
Yeah, someone has to have. Atlas pulls these in. Normally, prisoners get sent to the games, but Jasper has been requisitioning anyone who who has the telltale signs of these type of cybernetic implants or this type of gear. Then he takes them and gets any information out of them while they're still alive, and then he sends the bodies to me to get anything out of their actual organics.
And the fact that they are probably tortured doesn't bother you?
You should have seen what these people were like when they were still alive.
I mean, don't get me wrong, this work is extensive. Their life could not have been easy.
She shakes her head. But you don't even know the half of it. These people, most of these people are soldiers. They've been trained. They're like the way that they've been trained, the way that they've been regimented, the way that they talk. It's like they're an army.
I mean,
if you have moral qualms about that, remember, this is, if we're dealing with another army, this is an act of war. This is not torturing civilians. This is, getting information from enemy combatants.
I'm going to turn, I'm going to, point at my PsyOps trained self. They're doing the same thing to me.
They're going to let you go. You're human. They're not going to torture you.
I mean, that's if I win.
I'll make sure they let you go. Again, they're not interested in like throwing away useful materials. Well, maybe parts of Atlas are, but Jesper will make sure that you're safe. I'll make sure you're safe. I need you. I need you both, because I've always needed you, and because your medical expertise could be invaluable to me.
That's a phrase that I never thought I'd hear out of your mouth.
Look, I know this might sound cold. I know it's been years since we've seen each other, but this is important. Your psionics, your medical expertise, you could make huge breakthroughs for us. You could help save the entire human race. You could save the entire Midrim. You could save even the Federation.
I'm okay with most of that, but you realize that part of that is, these are people. Not obviously these are dead bodies and they're soldiers and there's an active war going on. Get that bit, but a lot of the Outer Rim is full of people that we haven't seen, although I am really surprised at the amount of Uluru. Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure Primrose had never seen before her capture.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, she says, that's the thing. We've been pulling them out as we bring them in. I mean, if you think about it, how many Uluru and how many scabs and how many Chirons have you seen or anything? I haven't personally had much experience out there, but I hear that, Big C is absolutely crawling with the bugs.
Yeah, but the Chirons are pretty, they're not a danger to people.
Really? And do you think that a entire group of spies sneaking their way into a planetary system and, gathering information are harmless? Or do you think that they'd openly and actively go around causing mischief?
I mean, no, I've been trained better than that, but I also know what to look for.
Well, that's why we need you. Jester's methods are crude. They often lead to the death of captains long before we get all the useful information out of them. You could help with that tremendously. Not just with your abilities, but with your training.
I'll tell you what. If you start and if he's open to communications about this sort of thing, I'll definitely listen.
Wonderful. Well, but he's coming over later.
Yeah, I don't like where this is pointing me, though. I've always had a problem with, this kind of study. But, I mean, I know it's important. It's just...
It's necessary. It's not just important. I know that you might have some sort of moral hang-ups about this sort of work, but it is absolutely necessary for the survival of the human race. If I can't convince you of that, I am sure that Jasper will.
I'll need more information before I agree to anything.
All right. I'm glad to have you back, Red. I'm sure you're going to feel the same once you've joined me.
Yeah. This does remind me of that cadaver class that we had in Biomed.
So we're actually going to take a little break here because we're at about an hour.
They're going to be reminiscing.
Yeah,
so.
they'll be reminiscing for a bit. We're going to take a little break. We're going to pick up in about 5-10 minutes. So for those of you at the YouTubes, we'll see you tomorrow for the next episode. But yeah, we're going to continue by jumping back and catching up on our old friends currently still on the station. And then we're going to have a little meetup. So we will see you guys very soon.
Thanks.